It is raining ETFs. Solana, Hedera, Litecoin. ETFs officially went live today. We have the up-to-date numbers for you, and we'll talk about which one will outperform. I know in the title and in the poll and in the thumbnail, we left out Litecoin. It was not on purpose. We'll blame our thumbnail guy. Also, we're going to talk about Trump and what he's looking to do in a partnership with Crypto.com. We'll talk AVE. We got MATIC joining us to break down the crypto charts. Is this going to be a sustained rally back to the upside, or is this all just a big bull trap? We're going to talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Gina, roll the intro.
Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. It's your boy Barabb. Barabb Obama.
What? It's your boy Barabb.
Barabb Obama.
Barabo. Can't say your last name. But Barabo.
It's happening.
Big day today, man.
It is.
Well, first of all, we're going to open up this club. I put a goal up, and it looks like CP just said, I got you, coach. Put me in. Threw it on his back, and, well, single-handedly, he will open up the club. Once we do hit 5 super chats of $10, we're going to open up the club. There it is. All right. We will open up the club. Should we open it up when MATIC comes on? So he's like, what the hell are you guys doing?
We'll do it on the back end of the show.
On the back end of the show? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The more super chats we get, the longer the club video will be.
Well, we'll say live till 5 p.m. Pacific if we have to with the club open, all right?
Why you only do $10, bro? It's $20.
It's a bear market. Relax. All right. Let's open up with the big news here, my friends. 3 ETFs on altcoins have officially gone live. Let's start with Solana. Today's from Bitwise. Today's a watershed moment for Solana. Okay, real quick. Where does that meaning come from? That watershed moment? Like, what's do you know the etymology of that? Where it came from and why people say that?
Do I look like a thesaurus here? Like, what the...
Thanks, Rob.
He said, somebody called me a whippersnapper the other day. What exactly does that mean?
Anyways, thanks for that. Introducing the Bitwise Solana staking ETF. Interesting. BSOL is built to maximize Solana's 7% plus average staking rewards for investors, targeting 100% of assets staked through Bitwise on-chain solutions powered by the high-performance tech of Helios Labs. Fees are waived to 0 for a limited time. There you go. Solana is one of the fastest growing technology platforms in the world, with usage generating over $2 billion in network revenue over the past year alone. They go on to say, this is the website, my friends, bsoletf.com. 7.34% staking rewards. Now, Rob, imagine, you're an old white guy. Let's fast forward 20 years.
Am I young again?
You're old. You got a 401k.
Am I young again?
You're almost close to retirement, and you're sitting there, you're saying, you know what? I didn't take any risks in my life, and I want to take some risks now, and that risk is crypto. You see a Solana ETF, and you see, wow, I can earn 7.34%? That's pretty good without doing anything. Is that going to be, and we'll talk about which ETFs are getting the most amount of inflows, but this is the website. You can see Bitwise currently has 1.1 million Solana in their trust, worth around $223 million. Okay, this is a spot ETF. So as people buy the shares of the ETF, guess what? Bitwise has to go out and buy more Solana. You have the second one, which is Hedera. Shout out to the HBARbarians. Today marks history as HBAR becomes the 3rd ever crypto ETF to launch after Bitcoin and Ethereum. To make this clear, out of the 19 million plus cryptocurrencies, holy shit, that's a lot. That CoinMarketCap tracks it as Canary Fund's HBAR ETF that passed, citing Hedera's institutional grade network. And then they kind of went on to talk about their road to getting there. And then finally, Litecoin ETF. So Canary got 2 of them. Bitwise 1 with Solana, and then Canary 2 with HBAR and Litecoin. LTCC is the world's first ETF with ties to privacy. Interesting, Rob. They're all trying to kind of get into their own niche of ETF, right? Hedera, the institutional grade ETF, Solana, the staking, right? Passive income ETF. And Litecoin is saying, hey, we're the first privacy, like ties to privacy ETF. Don't forget the Mimble-Wimble upgrade that happened 6 years ago that no one ever talks about anymore.
Revolutionary.
Revolutionary. Litecoin's opt-in privacy addresses allow anyone to have the basic level of privacy we all deserve. Not only is Litecoin a store of value, one of the most used payment options globally, and 100% uptime throughout its existence, it is the only legacy cryptocurrency to do all of these with zero VC funding and a fair launch through proof of work. If you truly want money that is spent by you, mined by you, and stored by you, look into the digital silver of crypto. Look into Litecoin. Somewhere across the depths of social media, Miss Teen Crypto and Tom Crown are having a party right now. So if either of you are watching, say hello. All right, Eric Balkunas, senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg. Big day, half hour till post time. Obviously, this is before launch, 6 a.m. Pacific time. 3 coins are getting their first 1933 Act spot ETFs. He's doing a volume guess. He thinks Solana is going to lead the way with 52 million in volume. HBAR coming in second at 8 million and Litecoin at 7. Here are the numbers after 30 minutes. It was 10 million to Solana, 4 million to HBAR. So, I mean, do the ratio here, 52 to 8 million. And then here was 10 to 4. And then Litecoin at 400K. And then half today, Solana one jumped from 10 to 33 million. HBAR went up to 6 million and Litecoin at 1 million. I was checking, you know what, let's go to Mr. Balkunas' page, see if he posted any new update here. No new update. So it looks like as of the last post, collectively, Rob, we're looking at $40 million of inflows. Obviously, when you compare it to like, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum, fairly low, but are you surprised to see Solana lead the way? And what are your thoughts? This is pretty bullish. We kind of expected this to happen when Congress came back and the government reopened, but they're not reopened and we have our ETFs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, surprised we only had 3. Surprised it came now. I think. Did you catch anybody? Did you catch anyone saying that like, hey, it's coming tomorrow kind of thing?
I think Eric had maybe posted.
This is my point. Yes, my point was yesterday we woke up to a nice surprise.
There was rumblings yesterday that the ticker was listed on NASDAQ, or it was like on NASDAQ. So people were expecting today, but that was like towards the end of the day yesterday on the East Coast time. So,
but either way, it still came relatively close. Even if the rumors started yesterday in the afternoon, hey, within 12 hours, you know, or whatever it is, 24 hours, the ETFs went live. Also, you know, I know there's a lot of people scratching their head like, hey, where's XRP? Where's Cardano? Where is
Avalanche?
Avalanche? Nobody cares about Pingu.
Well, it has an application in.
No. Well, there's a lot to have applications in, you know, realistically at this point. But interesting to see the 3 there. I think that speaks pretty highly of Hedera, right? I think if you were to say like, hey, there will be 2 to get approved, I think everyone would agree it's probably Litecoin and Solana. That seemed like the two. If you were to say there's going to be a 3rd,
you would have guessed XRP?
I would have probably went XRP. Honestly, I was a little bit surprised. Also, there's a Chainlink one in, right?
There's a bunch, dude. Yeah.
So Chainlink being on the outside.
But now
I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised. I did put in a position on Hedera at 20 cents, and so it's relatively flat here. But I just saw the run up. I saw it go up to 22 cents almost, and then it pulled back down to 20. Found resistance. I bought here at this 19 cent right here. I think my order filled it at exactly 20. Yeah, I think we're gonna probably see a rally here. I'm like, is Litecoin gonna rally? Perhaps. I saw a 5% move last night on Litecoin, and you know, it was this move right here, and so I think internally maybe they knew this was coming, or at least somebody did, and so we saw it go from 100 to 105. And so immediately I was like, okay, what's going on with Litecoin? Why are you waking up? And then
Go back to sleep.
Yeah. So then
We hate you. Go back to sleep, Litecoin.
you know, also you saw Hedera do something very similar as well. So last night it's in at 18 cents. This thing popped up to 21 cents. And so for me, if it's a project that I adamantly believe in, once I see that reversal, you know, because I mean, look here on the week here, you know, we were pretty flat and you had a big explosive run up, and you pretty much made up all the gains here on the sell-off that we had at the beginning of the month, where Bitcoin dropped to almost 100K. Yeah, and so clean reversal here, and I don't know, man. I'm a big momentum trader. I like to come in as momentum shifts, and something is telling me that Hedera is going to continue. I can't say the same for Litecoin though. I'm pretty bullish on Solana. I think I would probably give it 2 weeks before Solana starts to kick off. And that kind of comes off the back of what we saw with the Bitcoin ETF. The Bitcoin ETF launched relatively disappointing price action for about 5 to 7 days. And then lo and behold, Bitcoin exploded. ETF went live for Bitcoin and it was around 50,000. 2x within like a matter of like 7 months, I think it was, something like that, seven or 8 months. Like that. And so for me, I think you're going to see something very similar out of Solana. You can always point the finger at ETH and say, hey, ETH rallied and then the ETF went live for Ethereum. It sold off. ETH went up to 4,200 at the ETF listing, or up to that date, then it sold off and then dropped under 3,000 and was down there for a while. That was also right around the same time. What was it? We had the elections rolling in, and then
November.
Yeah. And then anyways, so I look at Solana ETF and I'm like, is it going to trade? Is the price action going to be similar to what we saw out of Bitcoin's ETF launch, or is it going to be more similar to Ethereum's, where it sold down? The difference here, however, for Ethereum was that the price rallied up until the day it went live. Solana has not. Solana has relatively held sideways. And so for me, look at this. I mean, we were at $200. We sold off. We're back at 200. Sideways action. This was not a rally into the ETF going live. So I think that because of that reason, we're going to get more similar price action to what we saw out of Bitcoin and have a very strong next couple weeks. Perhaps November will be the strongest month for altcoins, and historically October has. But, you know, things are a little different this time around. And I'm very, very, very bullish on Solana, particularly its ecosystem. And I'm expecting this to break out. Once this thing's over 240, you best believe you better be looking at some Solana projects, because there will be money to be made there. Millionaires will be created in the Solana ecosystem. Once the thing gets over 240, gets to 250, perhaps $300, I think we'll be talking about a lot of 2x and 3x projects in the Solana ecosystem.
I want to give a shout out. We will be opening the club on the back end of the show. CP, single-handedly, $5 super chats. We're opening the club. He did a mic check, said, hola, running late as always, and what's up? What up, man? Also, Steve-O, $5 super chat, said, he's asking if, he said, sorry, only 5. I'm a furloughed federal worker. We're looking at these crypto ETFs. Look at the financial institutions AUM and volume. That's a good point. I don't know if you're joking about being a furloughed federal worker. If you are, I'm sorry. That sucks. I would expect them to do their fucking job soon and go back to work.
Interesting, though, real quick, I just wanted to throw down, since we were kind of talking about alts. Zcash it's going the other way. I told David yesterday prior to the show, I was like, you know what? I think the Zcash top is in. Just from a sentiment standpoint.
We talked about so guys, if you were part of the trading show yesterday, we talked about $300 being a good level for Zcash if you were looking to accumulate.
I would not accumulate Zcash right now. I think this is the top.
You think that's the top?
Yeah.
I disagree.
Its market cap is pretty large at this point. There is a ton of historical, just so much money tied in at between 20 and $100. And the sense that when everybody all of a sudden just is like, hey, Zcash is the one, like when people just all in unison have nothing negative to say about a project that's essentially 6x'd. And I don't know. It was a lot of shit talking on the way up. And then now everyone's like, all the content creators like, yeah, man, Zcash, yeah. And I'm like, been down this road before. And
Jay Andrews said, it's time for Litecoin, Tezos, and Compound. That's interesting. I saw Forrest posted on his X. He said, rotate to Monero. Interesting there as well. All right, we have our guest joining us today. Joins us every single Tuesday. Pablo Escobar, welcome to the show. Magic, what's up, dude?
What's going on, guys?
Is that homage to Senor Escobar, Pablo, or is there another?
I just own this shirt. My girlfriend is Colombian and she hates it, so I wear it.
Wow. You must like the couch. You must have a very comfortable couch there, Magic.
I do have actually a very comfortable couch, so I'm not too worried about it.
I just bought a new couch too. Yesterday I took my car to my friend, and I need 4 new tires. So there goes another $1,200. Anyways, shout out to French Toaster gifting 5 Sin City memberships. Thank you very much. We appreciate all your support today. With that being said, Magic Man, we got 3 ETFs went live today: Solana, Hedera, and Litecoin. Can we start with a Hedera chart? Sure. Magic, it flipped 20 cents. I have a feeling it's gonna pull back again. Rob thinks it's gonna go up, and the momentum shifted. What are you seeing on the HBAR chart? A lot of our community, they're big HBAR fans. Can you give them some good news, or is it going to be bad news? And I want you to be 100% honest, Magic. Which you
no, it's not bad news actually.
Yeah? Tell me more.
No, I mean, we've had the same levels on our chart for a long time. I think I say that every single week we come here. These blue boxes were kind of the consolidation zone that we were looking at. If you recall, when we first came up here, we said, this is going to be your short, this is your long, there's your short again. And then, you had this whole debacle. Realistically, we were looking to see if it would hold 18 to 20 cents on monthly closures. And you can see we are on the monthly chart here. So it did hold that, and it is trying to. So to me, there's really nothing wrong with this chart unless you were leveraged somewhere in this wick. That's the only really big downside to that, is what happened on that washout. So realistically, the longer it lives above this zone, in the medium time frame, you know what I mean by, like, if we're looking for something to happen in the next coming months, living above this box is going to be key, because it allows you to put pressure onto the top side of that resistance that's there. So the coordinates on that box are 18.3 to 20.2 cents. If you're holding that as support on a material closing basis, I mean, you have to favor that it's going to make another attempt up towards the highs of the range here. You start losing that, and you're back down to your support between 12.5 and 15 and some change. So not the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, it's a good reaction to whatever you want to call this, this leverage wash. So you want to see this continue to be bought up and close up here going into the end of October.
Magic, are you seeing anything tell you that maybe the momentum is going to continue to the upside, or and I haven't pulled up an HBAR chart. I don't know. I feel like that 20 cents is going to give. If it does give, Magic, and I'm right, where are we likely headed to next? And if you already highlighted those boxes, I'm sorry if I'm doubling up on the questions.
Yeah, if you're really going to see this thing get washed again, like come back down to support, I'm not disregarding this wick by any means, but if you look even on a weekly time frame, you're not closing below, between 12.5 and 15.5 cents. So if you do lose that like 18 cent zone, 20 cent zone we just talked about, this area, this is the zone I want to see holding as support. I'd be willing to continue to purchase there. The only issue, you start to look at it as you do have lower highs, and when you're looking at things, not looking at the wicks here, just on a settle up basis, like, closing bars, this starts to look like flat support. So you do want to, keep that in mind, that eventually, if that trend continues, you are looking at, distribution, not accumulation, but we don't have quite enough data for that yet. So there's nothing really telling me either way. It's pretty sideways outside of this one really big, we'll call it a deviation. So I would buy support here, and I would be willing to sell resistance depending on how it approaches it. But if it approached it from this region after washing everyone, you would have to look at this very favorably in terms of at least the closes and how they've been purchased up. Even the monthly candle's not that bad. Let's see, what's the 3-month look like? Because we're on a new quarter. This quarter's got a couple months left to really do what it wants here. So, yeah, I mean, it's can't hate it. You can't love it at the same time. I would be pretty neutral on this, but I wouldn't be afraid to buy this zone again. That would be my only takeaway from this, is that I'm willing to purchase support again on this one.
Awesome. Thank you, Magic. Can we take a peek at Solana, Magic, the other ETF? This one is leading the charge on the 3 that just got listed today. I think I was looking for an update, but we haven't had one. Last time we saw numbers, 33 million in volume for Solana's ETF, and the unique thing about this one is it's got the staking attached to it. What are we seeing on the Solana chart? Did it have that spike that Hedera had? Because both these ETFs, Magic, went live at the same time.
When you say spike, do you mean like a buy up there on the weekly chart that we saw?
Yeah, or like big volume coming in, or maybe like a 5 to 10% move on a single daily candle.
Yeah.
Like
one thing I didn't highlight on Hedera, but I will real quick is, and I don't know if that's going to be present on Solana, is that if you go to basically looking at open interest here, you can see it was wiped off the board on this move down pretty heavily. But this color indicates that you have outlier open interest entering the market on positive delta, so it's good.
Nice.
That implies that these are new positions opening up into the market, so that's a good thing for that
Magic,
token.
if it's what's that indicator, Magic? What is the name of it?
I wish I could remember. Oh man, this is where I need Max, because he's the one who shilled it to me a long time ago.
No worries. So we'll figure it out later.
I'll come back to
it. Yeah. You're good.
Here we go. Open interest sweep by Leviathan for anyone that's curious about that. And you can come in and adjust it. You can go through Delta if you want, all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty interesting little indicator.
Sweet.
But Solana, it didn't have the big sell-off like all the other ones did. I actually think it held up fairly well in comparison, just looking at the chart anyway. I'm still riding this setup, and we've been talking about this setup for probably longer than you guys care for, but the setup was bullish off of this really large shark here. And you have hit, the first take profit, which was here. You've come down, held a meaningful support on a yearly time frame, and we're looking to see if it continues to hold. This is what I consider like the range low here. I think this box is about $180 to $189 on a weekly closing basis. I'm still looking for it to challenge into like that 250 to 270 range. And if it does crack there, and you guys were talking about, things went very bullish for Bitcoin after its ETF, and maybe that's the catalyst here. I have no idea. But in the instance that something like that happened and you broke out of 250 or 260, I would be looking for those, meaningful targets up around about $420. A nice number for everyone. But yeah, for now, you're at support. Again, this is kind of my line in the sand. If we lose this support, I'm looking all the way back down in like the low 120s. So I would really like to see that 180 area continue to hold on a weekly basis. And if it does, I think you'll challenge the highs of this range again. And you're looking up to about 250 to 270 in that region.
Sweet. Yeah, I added that open interest to my chart. Very interesting. Okay. Last one, well, the second to last one, since we're kind of going through them fairly quickly, Magic, can we take a look at Litecoin? Again, same idea, and we're highlighting these because they got their ETFs, right? So we're trying to see, Magic, are you seeing anything on there that might say there's some volatility coming either way? And what are you seeing on your Litecoin chart there?
So my Litecoin chart's really interesting. I actually used this for one of the lessons in the group, and it was just covering the swing failure patterns on timeframes and how you can utilize them to establish positions. And Litecoin is one of the cleanest ones you can do that with. I mean, you can look at every monthly swing fail, and it has been the reversal, whether it's to the upside or downside. Like right here, that was our big reversal. You had one right here. You had the swing fails that sent us long. You still have one here that you're holding on to. So this can actually go as it's no longer valid. Hide it real quick. But what you can see is that as long as Litecoin is above about $80.81, fairly good things can happen. And you really don't have any other targets on this one as long as it's living above there. other than this box. And this box is like your next big resistance around 200. So if you're going to, break out, you need to remain above 80. And then locally here, any kind of a trigger you're going to see is probably just going to come from a break right here of about $122. So you're probably range bound between this $80 SFP and this $120 SFP here. Like this is your upper range that you want to see continue to consolidate and not break down. Because if it breaks to the upside, you're looking for a doubling in price. So you just mark this area off on the chart and say, this is where I want to be accumulating down here closer to the $80 mark. And if I'm a breakout trader, I'm really looking for confirmation above 122. I wouldn't necessarily advise it to be breakout traders, but everybody likes to do it. So it's hard not to sometimes, I suppose. But yeah, that's how I view Litecoin. And I think Litecoin's an interesting chart. I'm very curious to see the future of something like Litecoin, because even though the chart is lackluster in terms of all-time highs, you really can't help but notice that it is still kind of trending up and to the right on the high or low aspect. So this thing's either going to, fail spectacularly, I think is a word I've used recently, where it gives up these higher lows and goes to zero like everything else will probably trend in the space, or it breaks up and maybe continues this trend over time. And maybe it's not as explosive as something like Bitcoin or other charts, but certainly it doesn't offer up a bad investment if you do it in a smart way. It's not. You just have to be kind of smart about it and maybe have a low allocation in terms of percentage.
Yeah, I just don't think people are excited about Litecoin. I don't know. Maybe the ETF.
Really no
What's up?
There's no marketing. There's no team. There's like nothing really going on. It's kind of hard,
Yeah. People say, well, here's the funny thing, Magic, is people will be like, well, Bitcoin succeeded. Man, Bitcoin is a one of one. Like we can't. And everyone's like, the whole Hedera thing, right? Hedera goes under. I see just diabolical tweets on X. Guys, this is actually good. This is good because now it's in the hands of the community and it'll be like Bitcoin, where it's like, it's not going to be like Bitcoin, bro. Stop it.
It's a really good argument for why socialism doesn't work, but
that's a good point.
If the workers own the means of control, man, it's going to go great.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
Not to be political.
Yeah.
No, I was just making not to be political. But yeah, Hedera, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I've seen some of those tweets too where I'm just like, dude, I get it. You're supposed to have conviction in this market. That's one thing in investing you got to have. But like,
come on,
you're on the wrong.
Yeah. Have conviction in something else, bro. Hedera, that's it.
True.
It's done. Just move on. I've lost money on shit, projects that I want to shit the bed. It is what it is. You salvage what you can and you move on. You spend more time focusing on how to get that money back versus, hey, maybe it'll go back up. And hey, I'm going to buy. I saw a tweet. Someone was like, I just bought another $10,000 worth. I'm like, you are
That's
retarded.
Crazy.
What are you doing? And then people wonder why they stay poor and say
it's called financial Darwinism.
Dude, yeah, and then they wonder, and then you hear the same people, this has been the worst bull market, and this, and like, come on, man. Anyways, Magic, Bitcoin. I'm a little nervous, bro. I don't know if, I know there's a CME gap at 110.7. Everyone's talked about that. Probably going to fill it. Will it be on a wick? Will it be on a close and then continue downside? I don't know. Are you seeing strength in the last move, Magic? We saw from that 108 level or 110 up to 116, pull back to, I think, where are we at now? 114. What does that move tell you that it's probably continuation to the upside, or maybe that was just a tiny spark and then we just continue trending down?
Yeah, this is a fun one. Bitcoin is a really fun one this week. So I posted on my Twitter about it, and we talk about inside bars all the time here. And this is a really good chance for us to kind of cover that and talk about it, because you got something that has only happened 3 other times in Bitcoin's history, depending on the chart that you're looking at.
What are we talking
so about? We had this really big washout, and you have an inside bar here where it didn't take the low or the high of the previous candle. So you'll notice it lives within itself. It did the exact same thing again. If you go back all the way to the highs here, that has happened here, here, and here. And those are the only times that's ever happened. So that's why I trade the inside bar so much, is because you get 10 of them a year. And statistically speaking, 97% of the time, you don't get a second one in a row. We just got a second one in a row for the 4th time in Bitcoin's history. So going back and looking at that, all you can really say is things are consolidating, right? It's what is it really telling you? Well, the bars are getting smaller, then you get a big expansion. However, in each instance, you actually wiped both sides of the market before consolidating further and then a big expansion. So right here, you'll actually notice after these two inside bars, and I have it up on a different chart, but it wiped out the top and the bottom of the range. So it went to the high and the low before actually consolidating and then nuking. This is an opposite case where it consolidated afterwards and then went up. And this is another one from 2021. This one will be very familiar to people. And I actually put them on a Bybit chart so that you guys could see them. And I could show you that that's kind of what we're looking at now. I'll go this back here real quick and I'll show you the one from 2021 because this is the hopium for Bitcoin.
Give us the hopium, Magic. Inject it into my veins.
So this is your inside bar from back here. You had two in a row, but it formed a triangle. Each one of these instances forms a triangle, which is, if you think about a weekly candle that's getting smaller and smaller until it can't anymore, I mean, obviously it makes a triangle. It's just, on this time frame, this is when you've seen them. So this is the last time you saw it was in 2021 in the summer. And you'll notice that we got the break down below after the two inside bars. We took out everyone in the market to the downside, took out everybody to the upside, and then washed everybody again. So It is one of those things where it just continued to go sideways before finally eventually breaking up.
How long, Magic, not to cut you off, but how
I did
long
measure them.
did it go sideways?
Like 30, anywhere from 32 to sometimes just 50 bars on a daily. So 30 to 50 days, another couple months of consolidation, which is not sexy to say to some people, of course.
It's horrible, bro.
But they say the bigger the base, the higher into space, or maybe into the floor. I don't know, lower into the floor, but it can go both ways, right? It can definitely go both ways. So in the group we were talking about it, and we got a couple guys in there that trade quite frequently, and I just remember telling them like, hey, based off of what we've seen, this high and this low are the only 2 points you should be willing to trade here at this time, and I'll get rid of this one because it's just not necessary. So you've got your triangle, it's broken out. We've already swept the high here. Now, it doesn't mean it can't push further because I did also have a little bit of a target. This is my target box, which we are getting into. One, it's your overall gold pocket just from high to low, very simple. But it's also the one-to-one off of this rebound, which is a really nice move. And I always put up a nice channel for it. So this is just a Fibonacci channel. And I've added the quarter, the 50, and the 75 to kind of, dissect it. And it gets things pretty well, you'll notice. So looking for it to maybe potentially try to break up to the top side of it, and we'll see what we get. But I do think that you have another push here to 117. Is some stuff that, when we look at it from a structure standpoint, if we start looking at this outside of time basis and we say, let's just look at market structure, where should we be looking at it in terms of market structure? And you can really make a case for that maybe this is the start of the range as starts to expand from the prior consolidation, or this would probably be what we should be considering here. So either way you shake it out, if you were to use this data only or use this data on over, you'll notice that you are above the point of control, which is all the way down here at like a 111 to 112, depending on what you've got your settings at. It would imply that we've deviated the range and that you would be looking for it to actually rotate higher, potentially even through that 117 area. So I think that there's more to go for this until we see a formal sign of weakness. I am in a couple like really low allocated longs. I've taken one take profit at 116,000. I've got another one at 117, and then I'll take some at 120. But I think if you're going to look for a instant breakout to like new all-time highs, you got to be above 120. I think living above 117 is where you want to be at the end of the month, though. Yeah. That said, if this is going to fail, you can do things like this where you have like, okay, my POC and my Valor here, this rolls over and loses those. That's kind of my major supports. And we're looking back down to like 110. In the same instance, you could be looking at this and just say, my most recent averages of price on a weekly and bi-weekly just generated, they are also coming in at the point of control of this range, letting me know that, hey, this was last week's average. This was the last 2 weeks average. If we come back and meet these targets, because statistically they are met, between 70 and 80% of the time inside of the next session, if they're met, we want to see it held as support. If it's not, it's a bad look when you're trending below the last session average. And in a move like that, it puts you below the monthly, it puts you below the 60-day, it puts you below the quarterly. And the only one that's untapped is way down here at 98K. So that's why you want to see this kind of get continuation, consolidate above this 111,319 value, which is also basically your point of control. And that would be kind of like your fail zone, that if this does roll over from here at resistance, it could come back all the way to here and be fine. On a monthly basis, we talked about that gold pocket previously in other shows. And that's still kind of the big key area for me on like a meaningful time frame closure, like monthlies, right? So we want to see this, because this candle didn't break anything. We talked about that. It doesn't look good, or it didn't when it's, when it's negative, it doesn't look good. But now that it's positive, it's kind of like, whatever, but you really want to see it living above the previous month high here at about 118, 117. That is that gold pocket we talked about. And if you do that and you closed positively here by the end of the week, in the end of October, things actually don't look so bad. But you do need to remember that in most cases, even if this thing pushes and gets a rejection, you have wiped both sides of the market in every instance of that consolidation where positions are building up that we just saw. So you kind of got to be careful. So people that are shorting right now, I think that they might end up getting a little bit of a surprise pump, and then then you can get like a rollover. And it doesn't necessarily mean the end of the rally. It just means probably further consolidation at that time. But if we are going to see this thing break out, it's going to have to break 120 on like a breakout basis. If we see like an instant move up to like 140 and beyond, all that stuff. The only other thing I was going to bring up for this, and I know we normally do Bitcoin first, but I had kind of wanted to let people know that there was a way to kind of see that this move was starting to take place, going back on the weekly profiles. Before this move got underway here, and this is back when it's trading at like 106, right? And there was a lot of fear in the market here. This is where you could have easily isolated this and said, how would I have known that this was going to happen? You'll notice the volume profile shape. So this is the week of that started on Sunday the 19th. Yeah, Sunday the 19th is when it opened, I guess. Monday the 20th is technically that day, but this is when Monday's open was. Notice the shape of your volume profile here as it's coming back into that. I think it was a gold pocket support that was here. Put it on the screen real quick. And I don't know if you guys do much with the shapes of volume profiles, but it's a really easy way just to I wouldn't say you have to put any effort in, but like, just kind of use your brain a little bit and think about what's going on to make this shape occur. There's a lot of selling that's going on at the bottom of the range. Obviously, your point of control is starting to form here. Now, the week did not end that way, but this is letting you know that there's aggressive selling at the bottom of the range. And we know that aggressive sellers can be turned into fuel for upside price action if they become trapped. So in this instance, you're just looking to see, can this break out? And as soon as it does and starts to break out, you'll notice it's going to move through this low volume area very quickly. And in most cases, it's going to start really moving through quite quickly, which is what we saw here. So that was kind of your indication that, okay, at a minimum, I am going to be looking for, you can do anything, however you want to do it. You can use fibs, whatever you want to do. You can say at a minimum, I'm looking for like 111 because I think the gold pocket will get tested like it did here, and then you start moving that value up. What's that?
I said what you did.
Yeah, so that was kind of your first cues that this was starting to take place. And that's why last week I kind of stuck with, hey, I think 116 will get hit. Because I thought either side were going to get hit because we knew we'd never get double inside bars. And it was pretty close to not having one because I think it hit like 115 by the end of the week before the week closed. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of your cue or your hint of what was going to happen. So I'll just kind of leave you with that there.
You've been pretty on point with your targets, dude. You said, I think, what was it last week? You said 116 was going to get hit. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Magic. It's been a while. Do you think the top is in for Bitcoin?
I think we're going to know within the next month, okay. Maybe two. But I'm still 50-50 on it, mainly because it's just a big area for me. But if this thing starts to move up here and reclaim some ground, it would not be wise for me to be to hold on to an idea just to say that I called something correctly. That's one of the dumber things a person could do. So I won't bound myself to that, but above 120, I'm definitely open to changing my mind, and that stops me out of my hedge from like 119. So that's kind of my line in the sand on it. But if it comes back down to the range, I do think that you're going to see this area of the range again at that point if we lose like 111. And I don't think that means that this is over. I would actually think it's more detrimental for us to come up here and fail at something like 120 and then roll back over than it is for us to, just kind of come back to the range where we are now, or like 117. So there's certainly signs of weakness and strength. It's a very even market. I think bulls and bears can both make an argument for what's going on here. But the overall trend to me is your friend. So you always kind of want to, unless you're a true believer in the 4-year cycle, I guess that's really the only argument you can make at this point, because the signs of weakness are they're there, but they're not quite confirmed. So
I was going to ask, if we go into 2026 and Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, Magic, I mean, do you think the people that have been sitting there saying the 4-year cycle, you think, are people going to finally realize the 4-year cycle is dead and we're kind of in...
It would be dead. I mean, it would be the first real confirmation that it's dead. I don't know how people will react, but I can tell you historically when people were wrong, they tend to be wrong longer than they should be. Yep. So that sucks, but it is the nature of people.
So let's hypothetically speak here, and then I know I'm taking up longer your time than we usually do, but hopefully that's right. Okay. If it's not, just yell at me. If that 4-year cycle is broken, Magic, then what are we entering? Are we entering classic stock market? Are we entering little mini cycles? What would be your kind of thesis?
I think that my thesis on why the 4-year cycle would go longer is a little bit more due to macro events, basically the Fed. And one of those things would be that they don't have any data to really make, inflation is up, but there's no data out on it.
Yep.
So if there's no data, it's like they can't really react and do anything that would be detrimental to the market, I guess. They can't actually do anything. And I think right now they're slated to cut rates, and I think they're going to do that unless they get data that says not to. But if they don't get that information, then it's up. So I think at that point, you're probably looking out to Q1 or Q2 of next year for a top. And I think, I look at May, obviously, being the changing of the guard for the Fed, and that would be kind of something I would eyeball. But, I wouldn't be looking to call things based on time at that point. I would just kind of, it'd have to go back to market structure and looking for just the classic failures in the chart. I'm still not a believer of things like, what's that indicator that everybody uses to call the pi cycle, things like that. I don't use those. And the reason I don't is because it was curve fit data and it's already deviating from price action. And it's got us we have to be at almost $200,000 for those to cross at this point. And I just don't realistically seeing that happen. And that's today. Cause you got to think if the market tops 6 months from now or something, those are going to be higher. So it is one of those things where I'm not quite in the camp that we'll see those $250,000 numbers, but
Michael Saylor said we're going to 10 million a coin, dude.
Didn't he say that last cycle too?
Yeah, they all say that. I don't listen. So Magic, we'll leave it on this. Tomorrow, there's still a 98% chance CME believes that we're going to get a Fed rate cut. But interesting point of view, Magic. You said maybe if they got data, they would pause the cut, or maybe even bring back, go up 25 basis points again if the numbers are really bad, but they don't have the numbers. So I think it's going to stick to what the plan was, which is cut 25 basis points. And at least that's what the CME believes as well. Magic, we appreciate you joining us as always. Thank you very much. To all of you watching, if you enjoyed our friend's analysis, he is one of the best, if not the best, when you talk about high time frames and really unpacking charts. It is none other than our friend Magic. So go join his Discord. We have that link pinned in the comment or in the chat here. Magic, before I let you go, anything you want to kind of leave us with or say or tell people anything?
Don't do drugs.
Fair enough. Don't do drugs. Too late for that, but hey.
That's it.
Magic, we appreciate you as always, my friend, and enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Take care. All right. I'm going to close the poll. Which ETF will have more volume? Solana 59%, Hedera at 41%. I do think it's going to be Solana, and that's not a shot at Hedera at all. I didn't see anything about staking on Hedera, right? We saw staking on Solana, passive income. Obviously, Solana, I think you can argue is the bigger name. I don't want to say the bigger name, but the more like people know and have heard of Solana, more people have done that versus Hedera. And again, it's not a shot, but I think the one thing Hedera's got going for it, you know, Mance Harmon now, the chair of the governing council. With our interview, we talked to him, and what does that mean? And so all those institutions and maybe friends of those institutions that are part of the governing council, now they have a way to get exposure to Hedera without going through the thing of, well, I got to get a Coinbase and I got to do this and that. So they can do it through the ETF on rails they're already comfortable with using, that they currently use already, right? The whole issue with taxes and that's all resolved through the ETF. And so, so I do think it's going to be Solana. But between Hedera and Litecoin, I kind of got to go with Hedera. I do think they'll get more of a look from institutions and Wall Street than Litecoin will. Not to say that Litecoin is going to perform crappy on the ETF side, but again, it's all about name recognition and branding. And again, with Hedera positioning itself at the forefront kind of the institutions, I think they have a little bit of an edge there. Let's take a look at the outflow or the flows from last week. This is from CoinShares. Last week, Bitcoin saw inflows of 931 million, while Ethereum saw outflows. 170 million flowed out of Ethereum. XRP saw 84 million of inflows. Solana saw 30 million of inflows. Multi-asset 33 million. And then that's pretty much it. Everything else was essentially null. Michael Not So Sailor, continuing the tiny Bitcoin buys. 390 Bitcoin was bought for $43.4 million. At least he didn't top blast this time. His average price was 111.053. But guys, should we be worried? Is Sailor running out of money? What are these last buys for peanuts? The man went from buying Mercedes Maybachs to buying Toyota Camrys. Nothing against Camrys. I love Toyota Camrys. Shut up. I have a Camry myself. I'm a Toyota man. I love Toyotas. My wife's got a Highlander. I got a Camry. My kid's going to get the Camry. He's already saying he doesn't want it, but too bad he's going to get it. But a lot of people are saying, this is not Sailor-like. Is there trouble with strategy? Can they not raise any more money? What's going on? I don't know. Whichever way you decide to take it, whether you decide to take it as no matter how much they're staying consistent in buying Bitcoin, or if you look at it from the other lens of they might kind of be in trouble. What the hell is going on? Yeah, we have that. And then I do want to shift over. This was pretty big news as well. Western Union. Who thought Western Union was dead? Not me, not I, and not Solana either, because, well, they're launching a stable coin on Solana in 2026. We talked about, this was one thing with Solana. When Trump launched his coin in January, the markets kind of tanked. Everyone's like, Solana's dead. 90% of revenue coming on the Solana chain was all about, meme coins. And well, that narrative is dead. So that means Solana's dead. And like we were saying, hey, Solana's just, obviously, the meme coins are a big portion of the transaction volume, but don't sleep on the institution side, right? Don't sleep on the stable coin side. And I do have a very special guest sitting next to me, popped in.
Hey, my name's Robin. What's up?
What's up, dude? You do not want to be Rob, I promise
my
you.
Screen
you
says,
Scott.
my screen, which is amazing here. I think I can check his email.
That is, you definitely can.
I'm
You
gonna
could
check
probably
it
get
out.
into his Coinbase account. If you want to throw in a trade, feel free, man. Okay.
Let's go. Zcash. It's right here.
I can't assume anyone watching doesn't know who this man is, but this is Scott Melker, the wolf of all streets.
All of us. Everyone.
Scott, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio.
What's up, man?
We got our boy AJ in the back as well. AJ, what's up, dude? What are your thoughts on the ETFs launching? And do you think one will have better performance than the other? You got three, right? You got Litecoin, Hedera, Solana. If you had to pick a winner,
Solana.
Yeah.
I mean, just by sheer market cap, name recognition, value, momentum, I think that's pretty obvious. And you kind of have this cycle we've been going through where you get some sort of like futures approval, right? The Bitcoin futures, Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin treasury companies, ETH futures, ETH ETFs. Yeah. So we're doing that in a different order with Solana, but you have Solana basically tradable by institutions, a few very successful treasury companies, including Forward Industries, which is obviously doing massive things. And now you get the ETF and it has staking.
Yes.
So I think that like it's going to make sense to a lot of investors that they can earn a yield on owning this thing. So I would say that's it.
Let me ask you a question. So staking, I agree, is huge, right? You tell Wall Street, hey, it's essentially in their language, dividends, right?
Yeah.
Solana's at 7.3%, right? We're talking about emissions. I think ETH is under 4. And correct me if I'm wrong. Can we agree that ETH is going to get staking added to their ETF?
Yeah.
Okay.
Inevitable.
If investors are looking at two products, Solana ETF with 7.3%, ETH ETF with 4%, what's your selling point to get into ETH versus Solana if you can earn almost a 2x being in Solana than being in Ethereum?
The answer is so easy.
Liquidity?
Tom Lee.
Tom Lee? Oh, okay.
You have a cheerleader who is like one of the most vocal people on Wall Street. Everybody reads his research, and he's bull posting huge targets about this thing on a daily basis, right?
But do you think that's enough, though?
I'm kind of quipping as a joke. I just think that the way crypto works is there's a very long learning curve for institutions and the real serious money, and they're just getting comfortable with Bitcoin, and then he made them comfortable with Ethereum, and we've seen the massive move. The Ethereum ETFs on many time frames, or at least for certain periods, have wildly outperformed Bitcoin ETFs, even in flows. And I think we're just going to take time to see that with the Solana ETF. I don't think it's just going to be wildly successful out of the gate. Do you remember how long the ETH ETF just utterly sucked?
I know. It was a long time.
Bad.
It was a long time.
But
so
it did have that rally prior to its listing. So I think a lot of people were expecting, hey, buy the rumor, sell the news is what we essentially saw. And yeah, man, I think what we'll see, and I know earlier in the show we were talking about it, I do think that what we're going to see, because Solana, because Litecoin, these ETFs didn't get a giant rally going into it, I think we're going to get similar price action to what we saw out of Bitcoin. And what we saw out of Bitcoin was that, hey, we sputtered for the first week or 5 days, and it essentially took off. We 2x'd within the year or within the 12-month calendar. I don't know the exact time frame, but a really strong performance post-ETF for Bitcoin, not so much for ETH, but ETH made its rally prior to its listing. So I think that we're seeing something similar here with these three. And I'm with the Fed rates getting cut, or expected to get cut tomorrow, I would not be surprised to see an environment where spending is incentivized and borrowing is incentivized. There's more printing going on, obviously. ETFs are live. We had a disappointing October. I think that the November with the ETF, these three projects in particular, Litecoin, Hedera, and Solana, I would keep a close eye on those, and particularly the ecosystems. I know Solana ecosystem plays are probably going to make a lot of new millionaires, and so that's something that I'm eyeballing.
I don't know if Solana ETF will fly, but I think Solana and the ecosystem are going to fly regardless of the ETF. And we've seen that already happen, right? Solana didn't need an ETF to go from $8 to $200, whatever.
$300.
Yeah,
insane,
so,
right? And then, guys, like we shared this news too. Western Union, right? Just to kind of double back on this one, they're launching a stable coin on Solana. So usually we see this news and it's ETH, which I get it, right? It's got the most liquidity, users, yada, yada. Is this a game changer for you guys? You think, Western Union, when was the last time you heard anyone say, yeah, I'm going to send you money through Western Union?
It's like dying tech here, It's like
it is dying tech, but it's used for remittances all over the world. And I think stable coins wildly disrupt that. And if you talk to people who are forced to send money to their family in a Latin American country, and then they have to go pay a predatory 11, 12% fee, and then they get robbed by the cartel literally at the Western Union on their way out the door. Sadly, those are really true stories.
Yeah.
this is just a layup. Like, it makes so much sense to do it this way. So do I think this news is a game changer? The problem is that now news that would have been a game changer at any point in crypto 2 years ago is just,
That's a good point.
like another story for another day. We won't remember this news happened in 3 days.
That's very
because
true.
we report on so much news and so many institutions are doing so many things. Circle's launching Circle's launching their own layer one, right? I mean, you have Stripe, who's already integrated USDC, going to launch their own blockchain for payments. Like, these things should all be the biggest news stories of the year, and they just come in passing. So I think that this is all just kind of plumbing and shows you direction.
Don't you think it's interesting that the financial company that was 100% anti-crypto. I mean, because that's what Western Union is, right? Sending money internationally. It goes, crypto went against that, right? It was like, hey, there's two business models here. We have the legacy fiat world where, you use ledgers, run by banks and companies. And then you had the decentralized version with crypto. And so it was always like you essentially had one or the other. Now you have Western Union doing crypto transactions. It's almost like if Peter Schiff started a Bitcoin channel. It's like, hey, you're doing something that is opposite to your business model.
He's selling ordinals and is willing to debate CZ about tokenized gold. So the example you give, as absurd as it sounds, like directionally that's already happening. But also Western Union is smart enough to learn the lessons of history. Yeah. Do you know who invented the digital camera? No. Kodak. Do you know who doesn't exist anymore because of the digital camera, because they were disrupted by it?
Well, there's Kodak Black. There's Kodak Black, which is like a second arm.
Kodak Black is a very popular company, tunnel vision. But the point being is that those companies, even Kodak knew they created the digital camera and just thought that they could bury it and it wouldn't disrupt them. But you can't not integrate blockchain into something payment related. Yeah. And you have Fed Governor Waller, literally the Fed, making the comment that crypto is woven into the fabric of the economy, and the Fed itself is going to be giving master accounts or skinny accounts versions of it to stablecoins and crypto companies. Visa is integrating stablecoins. Every company that is 100% going to be disrupted is already trying to not be Blockbuster and Kodak by utilizing the technology themselves.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, though, Scott? Because you look at certain people that say, well, I thought crypto was supposed to be like completely deleveraged from the financial system. What'd you say?
I struggle with this.
Yeah.
Like I make these jokes all the time. Like Ken Griffin from Citadel is talking about the debasement trade. He says buy Bitcoin, and you're like, yeah, I'm cheering for Darth Vader to crush the rebellion, but because like I own Darth Vader coin, right. And so there is a lot of cognitive dissonance, I think, with the struggle or the tension between I hate that, but it makes my thing go up. That said, I think all paths lead to decentralization eventually. And the more of these things that are built, the more people get onboarded to wallets, the more people start to use it. And then the more people will be like, wait, this isn't private. Let me go find something that is. Or this isn't as fast. Let me go find something that is. Even a CBDC, the silver lining of a central bank digital currency, which is as dystopian as it gets, is everybody's onboarded to digital wallets. Then they go, shit, I should probably get this Bitcoin thing because they're airdropping stimulus into my wallet and taking my taxes out without my permission.
If they allow it, right? And I think you hit such a good point, Scott, in as long as centralization and decentralization are allowed to exist together in the same arena, I do agree. People will get onboarded by their bank, Citi and Bank of America. And hey, you can buy crypto through your Bank of America while, you have your mortgage here, your checking, your savings, your personal, and then, you can do crypto too. They'll get onboarded that way. But I think as long as decentralization is allowed to progress and kind of have a say in the world of what's happening with crypto and blockchain and finance, I think eventually, yes, people will move. They'll get onboarded through central entities and they'll move over to decentralization.
Also, like stablecoins are centralized. We're not fooling anyone here.
100%.
Right. So even the most popular ones that you may use in a decentralized manner through decentralized platforms, like they can roll you back.
If they can roll you back or if they can blacklist you, it is not decentralized.
But you'll have a choice.
As long as you have a choice.
You can go use Wells Fargo coin, or you can go use Tether, or you can go use, like something that we create.
Terra
that's
Luna.
more decentralized. You can definitely go use Luna. That still has a market cap, by the way. I think FTT is still in the hundreds of millions, right? So
it's going to be Cadena. Okay, I want to. I guess we could. Oh, we got to open up the club.
Oh yeah, shoot. Yeah, we get enough super chats. We open up a
There's
club.
a club.
Yeah.
Scott.
can you find me in the club?
Yeah.
Club. Someone commented. Janice Papa said, "Wow, Rob aged really fast." That's
It's the bull market, bro.
That's fucked up for me, not for you.
I was gonna
So
say that.
congratulations.
all right, Scott. Vegas. Obviously, there's tons of nightclubs here, and we decided, we want to stay true to Vegas, and just like Vegas, when you go to a nightclub, you got to pay a cover fee, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. We do a super chat goal. We hit our goal today. When we hit that super chat goal, we open up the club. With that being said, Gina, open up the club.
Good to see Dave's dad moves over here.
I got the Trump dance down, bro. It's very my thing, Went from rolling the dice to the Trump dance. Well, we appreciate all your support, and we want to give a big thank you to Scott dropping in last minute. Guys, if you don't watch Scott on his channel, The Wolf of Wall Street, I highly recommend you go do so. He brings in some of the biggest guests in all of crypto. I love the Macro Mondays. I'm a big macro guy. That's kind of where I started off in my financial journey. And so I will go ahead and drop. I can't assume people that are watching aren't subscribed to the Wolf of Wall Streets, but I'll drop that link in there anyways.
Just at Scott Melker. I'm easy to find.
At Scott Melker. Yeah, there you go. Here, let me just drop a link in there just in case. And then Scott, any parting words to the people watching?
Buy Bitcoin.
Are we still in a bull market, or what's your vibe on the market?
AJ and I were talking about this before, where it's absolutely been a bull market, but it's the worst bull market ever.
Yeah.
Because people have found so many creative ways to lose money. I don't think anyone actually made money in this bull market.
Yeah. Well,
Bought
some
a
people
treasury
do.
company, you got wrecked. If you bought like one of the IPOs, it went wildly up and you got wrecked. If you were trading with leverage, even if you had a stop loss, you got wrecked. If you've been holding altcoins from the beginning, you got wrecked. Who's made money?
Michael Saylor.
Well, I made a little bit of money. I know AJ made some money.
Yeah.
Rob made a little bit. You probably made some money.
I'm being hyperbolic, but I would say that the majority of participants
100%.
don't even own Bitcoin, and owning Bitcoin's been the only real way to make sure money in this market so far.
100%. Okay. AJ, come on. Come say a piece to the people watching, and then right here, you're going to sit in my spot, and then I want you to tornado us out of here, okay?
Okay.
What's that mean? Is that like the Wizard of Oz, or is it like
The tornado, like.
Yeah. So the wrap up single.
Oh. But yeah, Scott and I just had a really interesting interview.
we did?
We did. Probably going to release it in 2 days.
Oh,
So
nice.
Definitely looking forward to that. I think a quick takeaway is, in the background, just really quickly, it was Christmas.
Yeah, it was.
We had a Christmas background. So
Christmas theme.
the Christmas theme. And I said, like, are we going to have a crypto Christmas? What are your thoughts? And we kind of went from there. So definitely, guys, tune into that one when you get a chance.
I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it. But my one spoiler is that I just now, while I was out there, I bought a bunch more Aster.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
Now I might have to actually buy some.
Yeah, I just bought a bunch.
I went in there and
more
hyped
Aster.
it, and I was like, I don't own any, but it'll probably do really well.
Yeah, probably gonna do great. But yeah, shout out to all the boys at Sin City Crypto. The studio is amazing. If you want to make your own content, you find yourself in Las Vegas, hit up the boys.
Place is ridiculous.
This is legit. This is the spot for sure.
Made
Mad
me feel
respect.
really bad about myself
Oh
and
man.
my studio
Yeah.
situation.
After midnight, it turns into OnlyFans filming. So we
Nice.
make as much money as we can out of this place. So
Very cool. Yeah, I got the two cameras set up in my basement, ripping.
Killing.
We
We don't have basements in Florida, so we can't do that.
Yeah, well, they'll just flood. You know what I mean? So
All right, AJ, it's your time to shine, baby. Throw up that finger, spin that tornado, and tell Gina to roll the outro.
hey, roll the outro, everybody. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Have a safe rest of your day. Get rich or get wrecked. Peace out.
Sin City Crypto. Cash is Cuvée. Sin City, crypto, everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info, gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in, for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in then you win, we divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David, I split the game but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite, I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners, special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners, ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors, they gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin, and sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.